If one man deserted, the other 9 in his unit were put to death.
Whoa! Rise of the Empire.
This video was sponsored by the Great Courses Plus.
Suggestion.
Many wars in Korea, China and Central Asia, but by Mongols is still debated. At the beginning of the 10th century, the Proto-Mongolic Khitan people formed an empire called the Great Liao. The Khitans fought many wars in Korea, China and Central Asia, but by 1125 were defeated by the Chinese Jin dynasty and moved to establish a new Khitan state called Western Liao. To the north, in modern-day Mongolia, a number of nomadic tribes united in a tribal confederation called Khamag Mongol, which can be translated as Whole Mongol. One of the clans within the confederacy was the Borjigin, and its representatives were elected the Khans of the Union multiple times in the 12th century. Khamag Mongol was in a long-term rivalry with the Tatar Confederacy, which also nomadized in the region. This struggle weakened.
Oh, so the Tatars. Bro, I swear, Tatars are like everywhere in Siberia. Golly.
And their confederacy almost ceased to exist in the second half of the 12th century.
Wait. So where are the Turks? No, Tatars are Turks, right? Right? Yeah. Because people told me that Turks and Mongols were like neighbors, basically, right? Originally, before they both kind of just started going their nomadic, migrating ways, right? So wait, is this the Turks, the Tatar horde?
The chief of the Borjigin clan at the time, Yasuge, was trying to reunite the tribes once again. In 1171, he arranged a marriage between his 9-year-old son Temujin and the daughter of the chief of a nearby clan, Borta. Some sources claim that Yasuge was poisoned by the Tatars during the wedding. Temujin attempted to assume the role of chieftain, but he was rejected and exiled with his family. For the next 6 years, Temujin lived in poverty and was even enslaved on occasion. Eventually, Temujin started forming his tribe with the help of his blood brother Jamuka and the leader of the Kherate tribe, Togrul Khan. Temujin and Jamuka raided other tribes together, but eventually they had a falling out. Jamuka supported the traditional Mongolian aristocracy, while Temujin gave positions of power to capable people outside his tribe. Threatened by Temujin's rise in popularity, Jamuka attacked him in 1187 with an army of 30,000 men. Temujin's 20,000 men were decisively beaten at the Battle of Dalan Belzut.
Temujin is known. Temujin, wait, is that? Yeah, isn't that Genghis?
About Temujin's life in the next 10 years. But in 1197, we see him commanding a united force of the Mongols, the Kherates, in the war against the Tatars initiated by the Jin dynasty. Temujin would avenge his father in this conflict. The leaders of the Tatar tribes were executed, while the non-aristocrats were invited to join his ranks. He delegated authority based on skill and loyalty, rather than tribal affiliation or blood. As an incentive, Temujin promised civilians and soldiers a portion of the war spoils. His new rules laid the foundations of a code of law which would eventually be developed and applied to his empire. His father's death influenced Temujin, and one of the laws was that hospitality was sacred. Guests and envoys should not be harmed.
And this is probably the main reason why the Mongol Empire was able to expand like crazy. This one thing that, and you know it's funny, right? Because I've even said this so many times in my videos, plenty of times. Like every single reaction I've done, I see these people who just go, they just unalive these people and just, I'm like, why? Isn't it smarter to just like leave them alone? It blows my mind how just hospitality has hardly been used by so many people who are freaking conquerors and empires and whatnot, bruh. Like, it makes you really wonder, what would our timeline be like had people just simply just been more hospitable to people that they conquer. Like, how would the timeline of our freaking canon era be, right?
Temujin revolutionized the steppe world. Each victory brought more warriors to his side, and he reformed the Mongols into an army.
College student.
The decimal system was implemented, and the army was divided into tens, hundreds, thousands, and 10,000s. Transfers between the units were forbidden, and if one man deserted, the other 9 in his unit were put to death.
Whoa!
Commanders were chosen by their men.
That doesn't make any sense to me. They're not the ones responsible for him deserting. How the hell is that supposed to stop people from deserting? Bruh. People would still desert. People would just look around and be like, yo, bro, I already roll if you like that, bro. Yeah, screw you, bruh.
Except for the commanders of the 10,000.
What is the logic behind that?
Tumans, who were handpicked by the Khan himself. This chain of command allowed flexibility, discipline, and loyalty, and was vital to performing sophisticated maneuvers. Every able-bodied man had to be a part of this structure. In 1201, a number of opposing clans called a council, Kurultai in the Mongolian language, and declared Jamuka the Khan. This sparked a 5-year war between him and Temujin, and the latter managed to defeat his former blood brother at the Battle of the 13 Sides. That same year, Temujin assembled another council of the Mongol chiefs, who elected him as their leader, giving him the title of Genghis Khan, the leader of all. For the first time, the warring tribes united.
Wait. Like, this like Genghis mean like universal or some shit, right? Genghis Khan, like universal ruler, right? I don't know, but it's like, it's such a fire name, bro. Like, yeah, it's like universal ruler, bro. That's such a fire name, bro.
One nomadic nation under one banner and one authority.
Such a fire name, bro. Genghis Khan.
In 1209, the Mongols began their first invasion against the powerful Liao dynasty to the southwest. The details of this conflict are not clear, but it seems that Genghis Khan was successful in open battles but had difficulties taking the well-fortified cities. The Mongols learned the importance of siege warfare in this campaign. The surrounded cities slowly succumbed to starvation and diseases, and the Liao Emperor had to submit to Genghis Khan and become his vassal. Up until this point, the Jin dynasty underestimated the Mongols as a nuisance on their northern border, and even refused a call to aid by the Liao. But by 1211 they were on high alert. They even demanded Mongol submission, which led to war. In March 1211, Genghis Khan summoned all Mongol chieftains and prepared to wage war against China. The Jin had a massive population and mobilized around 800,000 infantry, most of which were untrained peasants with low morale, and 150,000 highly trained heavy cavalry. This
150,000 highly trained heavy cavalry. What the hell?
vast army, however, was spread across the Great Wall and garrisoned separate fortresses.
I would imagine that,
a 90,000 strong cavalry army, which had 3 main components.
That's like, yo, that's like, the Jin was ahead of its time, bruh. You know, because like modern day wars, right? It's like, you have all of these men, but they're like spread out. They're spread out across this big ass front line, right? That's crazy. That is actually crazy. So the Jin was freaking ahead of its time, bro, using modern day tactics. It's not the 20th or 21st century Jin. Wow, because you know back then people didn't like spread their armies out across like the whole country. They just put them all into one group and just marched them in. But no, the Jin freaking damn, that's wild to think about.
Light cavalry scouts, horse archers armed with composite bows, and heavy cavalry armed with lances and curved swords. All of these men were highly trained and loyal. After they bypassed the hopelessly ineffective Great Wall, the Mongols split into two armies. The main army was led by the Great Khan himself and was 60,000 strong, while the other 30,000 were taken by his son Ogedei to attack the city of Datong. Genghis Khan headed for the strategic Juyong Pass protecting Beijing, but along the way he was stopped at the pass of Yehuling, where the bulk of the Jin army awaited him. For months the Mongols waited for the Jin to make a move, but they held their ground. While waiting, Genghis sent his trusted generals Jebe and Subutai to lead a small force which attacked the western front from the rear in the Battle of Wusha Fortress. The Jin army and their commander were annihilated. Once the secondary army quickly grouped up with the main force, which was still waiting in Yehuling, the Mongols attacked the defenders in the mountainous terrain and pushed the Jin forces back.
Woo.
Genghis sent men over the peaks surrounding the pass, which the Jin generals thought was impassable, and attacked the
Bruh, really? The oldest trick in the book. Not even trick. The oldest mistake in the book. That is impossible. Turns out it was passable. Very passable. Oh no! It costed us the entire war.
much larger army from both sides.
I swear I've heard that
Jebe,
too many times.
one of the best Mongol generals, used the trademark Mongol tactic of a feigned retreat. After a short skirmish, the Mongols pretended to flee, leaving loot as they fled. The Jin defenders took the bait and left their fortifications trying to chase them down. Little did they know they were falling into a deadly trap, where thousands of them were attacked from all sides by Mongol archers. With the gates of China now open, Genghis Khan began raiding the countryside before he withdrew for the winter. The following year, the Mongols struck again, only this time they besieged Datong, where Genghis was wounded by an arrow.
Oh damn.
The city held out against the invaders, who once again retreated for the winter, this time with even more knowledge about their enemy and siege warfare. In 1213, when the Mongols invaded again, their mobility prevented the Jin from organizing a successful resistance as their countryside was raided. The Mongols began besieging multiple fortresses and cities, and waited for the enemy to attempt to break the siege, only to be ambushed and defeated. The Mongols were fighting guerrilla warfare within a foreign land.
And not only that, but the Jin is fighting modern warfare kind of tactics that's not even like useful, because they built this wall, which is a bright idea to be honest, but like they just went around the wall. At least have some soldiers or something around like the end where the wall stops, bruh.
The cities that surrendered had most of their inhabitants murdered or enslaved. However, engineers, artisans, merchants, doctors, teachers, priests and administrators were spared and asked to join the Mongol horde. Many others were taken and used as meat shields for the following sieges, marching in the vanguard to block arrows or discourage the archers from firing. After securing all Jin lands north of the Yellow River, Genghis moved against the capital of Beijing and besieged it. The Mongols tried to starve the city out, but after a few months an epidemic spread through their camp and they had to negotiate with the Jin Emperor Xuanzong. He agreed to peace in exchange for a tribute of loot, men, horses and his daughter, along with subjugation to the Mongol Khan.
I know my mother would have.
Thus, the Mongols left China and returned to Mongolia with their treasure. But just outside the Great Wall, a messenger galloped to Genghis Khan. The emperor had moved his court to Kaifeng to the south. This enraged the Great Khan, as it signaled that the Jin planned to retaliate. The Mongols quickly returned to Beijing and besieged the city with the help of thousands of Chinese engineers. The city was surrounded, breached and razed. For weeks, thousands of carts hauled loot back to Mongolia. The fires in the city burned for over a month, while its people were massacred.
Damn,
What
bruh.
was once considered a nuisance had brought a 20 million strong nation to its knees. And now, the Mongol devastation was heading west. While
Bruh, what the hell was the point of the Great Wall? Absolutely nothing, bruh. Anyways, this video was a suggestion by me, to me, for me. If you have any videos that you would love to see my reaction to like this, make sure you like, subscribe, drop the suggestion in the comments below. Eventually, I will do it. You can go check out my other reactions on my channel if you like my reactions, man. Definitely. What else am I missing here? That's it. Turn the bell notifications on. You know, thank you for watching, and goodbye.